everybody. Welcome on back to Fantasy Football Futures. I'm Tyler. This is Tim.
What's up?
And today we are going to dive on into our Thursday night football matchup between the Bucs and the Eagles and just pretty much discuss who we think this week should be your must-starts, maybe some players you should fade, and kind of our bets for this week. It's just going to be a shorter episode. We're going to do this from now on just so it's kind of easier for everybody to watch and we can get them out and quicker and produce them a little bit better. So let's go ahead and dive right in. The news around the league's on our episode from yesterday about everything going wrong. Yeah, booms and busts for the week. So we'll go ahead and dive right in here, starting with the Bucs. Do you want to start with our starts and our sits, or do you want to start with gambling?
I say we start starts and sits, then go with gambling.
Okay, so for this week, pretty obvious. The Bucs have looked very well the last 2 weeks, or last 5 weeks, and last week they looked great against the Dolphins. The passing game was dynamic, and I think it's something that we're not shocked to see, and I think it's only going to continue to grow. What is your must start for this week? Like, give me. So I know it's probably going to be. Who are you starting? Let's see here.
So what I'm going to start with, I think you have to go with just that trio that we talked about last episode of Brady, Evans, and Antonio Brown. There is talk. When we're shooting right now, there's not a 100% certainty that Gronk will be back, but there is a chance that he will be back. So that's something we need to look at. If he is back, I would maybe go. I don't know how much he'll play though. If he is back though, if it's something they'll slowly get into with it.
That's why I'm not sure with what that's going to do.
I can see him not playing because it is a Thursday game. So if they're smart, I would think he wouldn't play, and then that's when I kind of go with the Evans and Brown.
Yep.
I'm staying away from Chris Godwin until he shows me that he can go off, and because I just don't see him getting a lot of.
He did show up on the progress report. That's a thing I do for work. An injury report. Holy cow! He was limited in Monday's practice due to a knee ankle injury, so that's something to keep an eye out for with Godwin. Seeing if I'm sure he will play, but it's just something to see if he's going to be limited, and that might affect how much he gets used on Thursday as well. So, yeah, that trio, Brady, Brown, and Evans. I think we're going to see a lot more Mike Evans this week than we will Antonio Brown. I think Antonio Brown might not have as big of a week this week because the Eagles' pass defense is a little bit better than what they saw last week. So, to me, I'm going to really start Brady, Evans, and then maybe fade the rest right now. Eagles' run defense isn't great, but it isn't terrible. They looked pretty solid last week against the they didn't look great. They gave up 113 yards.
Yeah, I was going to say they've given up the third most rushing yards.
Yeah, so
Fournette might be something I'm looking at too, but it's also Fournette. I think how I would look at this is, with the Bucs, you're not really looking at the matchup. You have to kind of play those top tier guys no matter what. But I think this is where you can plug Fournette in. You're probably not playing him every week, but it could be something where the Fournette might have maybe get that touchdown. They've given up only 4 rushing touchdowns though with all those rushing yards, so it's just interesting to see. Fournette's a maybe for me, but I think they might have some success with him this week.
Yeah, and that's why I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Fournette and how they're going to, if they run the ball. They never run the ball, but if they do, what's it going to look like? It is short and weak, so Bucs, you can pretty much start whoever. I think it's going to be a rotation, but for me personally, maybe Brown I'm holding back a little bit just because, but at the same time, can you really trust yourself sitting a Bucs player right now with how their offense has looked the last 4 weeks? So,
yep. Well, something I want to add too, that they have the third most yards against. They've actually had the most rushing attempts against them. So when you have the most attempts, you're going to give up some yards. So it should be maybe all those yards is kind of, because it's only 4.3 yards per carry. So the yards kind of hides it a little bit, but their rushing defense isn't terrible. So maybe I'm kind of going back and forth on Fournette. I think I would start him still, but if you're like, no, I don't think so, I kind of agree with you at the same time, though.
Yeah, and that's what Fournette's just, it's a question mark. You never know what's going to happen. Gronk, if he comes back, maybe wait just to see what he's going to look like. And they might plug him in and just use him in the red zone kind of thing. But he's coming off that rib injury, so for the Bucks, pretty much you can pick and start whoever. I would kind of maybe wait back on Fournette because of what we've seen over the past, but they do like to throw the ball to receivers as well. So that's something to keep an eye out for. But for the Eagles here, you're obviously going to start Jalen Hurts. And I think even this week, you are going to start Devontae Smith. It has to be a must-start, in my opinion. A bad passing team, pass-defending team. Devontae Smith should get a lot of looks. And then you're looking at in the backfield, you got Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell. Between those two, are you starting Sanders or are you going to start Gainwell? I think I would go Gainwell. Who would you go with?
I would go with Gainwell also. I can see him having a game like Myles Gaskin did this week last week against the Bucks, where they're not running the ball, but they need to throw it more. Miles Sanders can also catch it, so there's a chance he has a good game. Yeah. But when they've been on these third down, these long plays where they need to pass the ball, Gainwell's been in there. He's been in the red zone. And so I can see Gainwell having a Myles Gaskin week this week.
Yeah, and that's what last week Miles Sanders had 5 catches on 5 targets, but he only had 6 yards. So I don't know if they're really just more quick dump offs and they're not trying to get him involved. Where Gainwell is looking like they're more they're a threat out of the backfield passing. So let's see his lot. So yeah, like against Kansas City Chiefs, he had 8 catches, 6 yards, 58 yards. Or 8 catches, 6 catches, 8 targets, 58 yards. So to me, I think Gainwell here is going to be a sneaky good start, especially at the flex. I think a flex position, no doubt. Now I wouldn't slide him in at running back too, but they're not going to be able to run the ball. Bucks have shown that they don't give up a lot of rushing yards. So to me, I think Gainwell, Smith, Hurts is clearly a start, and then I think another one is Zach Ertz. Tight ends have had great success against the Bucks. And I think with Dallas Goedert being placed on that COVID-19 list today, that it's going to be big news for Ertz, and I think you're going to see him involved in the offense a lot more this week.
Yeah, last show I talked about Zach Ertz can be in a pickup, and so I really think Devonta Smith is the must start against. I think he will have a big game, and I think Zach Ertz. Jalen Hurts likes throwing to the tight ends, and with Goddard being out, I believe that Ertz will get a lot of the targets from him. So he might have a big game.
And that's what a sleeper play that I think would be good for this weekend is Quez Watkins for the Eagles as well. Slot kind of wide receiver for them. I know you got Jalen Reagor, but Quez Watkins has been a more reliable target for Jalen Hurts, so I would expect him to kind of continue to look for them because they're going to have to throw the ball. If you want to beat the Bucs, the worst part of their team is pass defense. So they're going to have to throw the ball, they're going to have to move the ball, and I think in order to do that, Devontae Smith's going to have a big game. They're going to have a big game out of their pass catchers in the backfield, which I think this week it's Gainwell over Sanders, but Sanders can also be very well in the backfield catching the ball. But I also think Quez Watkins, they're going to have to find somebody else on the outside, and I think it's going to be Quez Watkins that has a big game over Jalen Reagor. And I would ride with Quez Watkins and Devontae Smith this week in Zach Ertz to be their leading catch busters. So those are ours. Do you have any must-sits for this week, or are you kind of just...
Honestly, I would say Miles Sanders is one of my must-sits. I just don't think even with them, when the Eagles are playing against bad defenses, Miles Sanders still does not, or not like bad defenses like that give up some points, or they might be good against the rush, but against the pass they're not. Miles Sanders still doesn't put up the points.
Yeah,
each week and out. So I'm not starting him. Not starting the Eagles defense. No. Not doing that. They had a good week against the Panthers, but it's going to be a different offense. So those are my two must-sits.
Miles Sanders worries me. I feel like he could easily be a top 20 running back in this, but they're not using him at all. And last week he did have 75% of the snap share, but it just worries me how much they don't use him in running the game, running the ball. And it's more Jalen Hurts. But I would like to see him get more involved. But like you said, this week it's going to be tough. I think you're going to have to look at fading Miles Sanders. But you could also argue playing him because you think he's going to get more reps in the backfield catching the football. So, Thursday night, they're pretty much all kind of must starts. I think if you're going to fade anybody, for me, it's going to be, it's like I said, Chris Godwin's could be the odd one looking out this week for the Bucs. And then Ronald Jones, of course, he's a man that's.
I'm staying away from Ronald Jones.
And Leonard Fournette, who knows what that's going to look like.
Yep.
He just, I don't know, it's a team that does not run the football ever. No. So, I don't know, and this could be a weird game where they just strictly go to the run game and disappear, but I think Tom Brady's looking the best Tom Brady's looked in the last couple of years. So, those are our plays for this week, and that's kind of Thursday night. What are some of your bets you got for this weekend then?
So, I'm actually not going to overthink this. And actually, I don't know if I will overthink this because I know road favorites on primetime actually only cover, I think it's around 40% or less. So the Bucs are -6.5. And you would think the Bucs should kill the Eagles because that's just how they goes. I do like the over at 51.5. I think the Eagles are going to put up some points. The Bucs are going to put up some points. And so I'm taking that over, but I'm just going to go with the Bucs -6.5. I'm not going to look into it. The Bucs are a good team. They're playing the Eagles, so I'm just going with that. And then I'll go on to you, and then I'll give you my prop bet after.
That's what I'm looking at. I also like, to me, it's just Eagles at home +6.5. It's a tough game for them. I just think, I don't know how well they're going to be able to keep up in a passing game. I know Jalen Hurts has looked a little bit better. But to me, it's just they're a rough team to watch. It's just rough. The touch. So what I will actually do here, since it's at home, and we've talked about Thursday night games that you just said, I think I'm actually going to go Eagles. I'm going to buy half a point and go Eagles +7 here at home to kind of keep it a close game. Maybe try to keep the ball out of Tom Brady's hands and then utilize their. Hopefully they can get the ball out of Hurts' hand and into some of their weapons on the outside to have a big game. So I'll actually buy half a point. I'm going to go Eagles +7 here at home.
Yep, so I can see that as well. I was kind of thinking about that, getting the half point and getting that 7. It could shoot up to 7 by the time we're done recording on Thursday. And maybe even 7.5 because everyone will be on the book. So I'm going to stick. I'm going to stick with the over, and then I'll post what I think about the spread later on Thursday. I'm going to do that, and then my prop bet is actually I'm going with Devonta Smith over 71.5 receiving yards. I think he's going to have a big game. He's a must start. And so I think that 71.5 should be pretty easy for him to hit against a defense that gives up a lot of receiving yards.
That's right. I was looking at that one as well. And then I'm also, like we talked about, I'm going to go ahead and look at Quaz Watkins here. Over 40.5 points as well received, or 40.5 points. 40.5 reception yards as well. I think those two will be the big names this week. I like Devonta Smith over 71.5 as well. But I feel like sometimes in these games too, though, they take away all the attempts from Smith. They don't go to him as much. And I think the Eagles are going to have to realize that, and if they want to be super successful on offense and passing the ball, they're going to have to continue to look at Devontae Adams. There's a reason why you spent the high draft pick on, or not Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith. There's a reason they spent the high draft pick on him. I think they need to start utilizing him more, especially in the red zone.
Yep.
So
actually, I just found another one I'll give. So Miles Sanders rushing attempts all year. He has 15, 13, 2, 7, 11. And that 7 was against the Chiefs, who are terrible against the run. So I'm actually going under 9.5 rushing attempts for Miles Sanders. I don't think they'll even try to run the ball. They'll just try to pass the whole time. Like I said, we talked about Gainwell. I just don't see how Miles Sanders runs the ball 10 times when he's barely doing that against these bad running teams.
Miles Sanders it's just a iffy one to look at. To me, I feel like if they utilized him the right way, he could be he could be very well.
Yeah. It's almost looking at what the Eagles are doing instead of what I think they should do.
Well, that's what, and I feel like in order for the Eagles to be successful this game, it's what the Dolphins were doing. They were saying, you know what, we're not even going to attempt to run the football because we know we can't. So I'm just going to run it, or we're going to throw it and make you stop us, even though this is the worst thing you guys do. But that's what we're going to try to do here. So to me, that's what I think. It's a perfect. I don't know. That's 9.5. I can see them going under because they're just going to say, you know what, we're not even going to worry about throwing.
And then you have to worry about Gainwell too, so it's like a perfect storm.
That's what. So my last one here is actually going to be, I'm going to take the Eagles staying this game early, and I'm going to say they score over 10.5 points in the first half. I think they'll be able to find 2 touchdowns somehow. I think the Bucs are going to score, and they're going to score fast. But I like the Eagles here first half over 10.5, and it's plus 100 right now on DraftKings. I think they find a way to score 2 touchdowns in the first half through the air, and that's what I'm gonna ride with the Eagles, especially being at home against Tom Brady. They're gonna look to come out firing on shortened week too, which I think always benefits the worst team in a game like this. So I'm taking Eagles plus 7. Eagles over first half 10.5, and then Devontae Smith over 71.5, and Watkins over 40.5. So those will be my picks for this week.
Yep, and then I'm going with the over 51.5. I'm going over Smith 71.5 yards receiving, and then under Miles Sanders 9.5 rushing attempts. And then I'll be posting my pick for the spread on Thursday.
All right, so go ahead. We tweet them out, and we also put them out on our social media, kind of so you can keep track of what we're doing. Right now, if you're betting at all and you're keeping track of this at all, you should definitely be fading any pick that I choose because it has just been atrocious for me. I feel like everything that can go wrong is going wrong in the betting world for me. So definitely look at what I'm doing and fade what I'm doing. And you might be up thousands of dollars for it. But yeah, so that is our Thursday night football preview here. We're going with those, just a little preview of what's going to happen. Do you think Eagles have a chance of upsetting the Buccaneers in this game?
No.
Nope. That's what, yeah. I feel like I might be giving the Eagles too much credit, but still, it's just they play weird. It's
we say I don't think they do. They might win. So
yeah,
I just feel like that's how it's going right now.
Tom Brady and them can play a bad game like they did against the Eagles or the Patriots. But so that is our Thursday night preview. We will see you on our next episode, which is our starts and sits for the weekend, and then we're also going to put out, so we're trying to put out more videos, so you'll see they're a little bit shorter episodes to get them out faster, and so you guys don't have to listen as long. So that'll be our next one, is sits and starts, and we'll hopefully get that out on Friday or so, Thursday, Friday, but until then, we'll see you on the next episode.
See ya.
Deuces.